So I kind of always had this idea as I started my business that I wanted to make a bigger difference. Yet I was very tied up in the money side of things and wanting to make money, and then I would make a difference at some distant point in the future when I was someone like Bill Gates and I would start a foundation and it would be wonderful and I'd have millions. And then, but it never really came, that moment. And then the crunch moment for me, and this sort of short version of it is, I was pregnant, very heavily pregnant with my second son, Charlie, and I was complaining a lot about swollen ankles and just generally feeling I was not a good pregnant person. I really admire those women that love being pregnant. I just wasn't ever one of them. And so my wonderful husband, who is here, said to me, you know, Sam, go and sit and watch a bit of TV, because he probably just wanted me out of the area. And so I went and sat down and put my feet up and turned on the TV, and it was CNN was on. And it was 2010, so we're in deep economic recession times. We're also battling with the Iraq, Afghanistan. The whole thing is in full tilt, or still now. And CNN is on, and do you know Christiane Amanpour? She was doing this report, and it was and I love her. She's somebody else I deeply admire. And she was doing this report on pregnant women on donkeys going to birthing centers in Afghanistan. And yes, I had a moment where I could watch this, or I can turn over to Housewives of Orange County, because, you know, it's kind of intense to watch stuff like that when you're feeling really pregnant yourself. So it was a life moment. It was a real crisis moment. I remember exactly thinking, you know, I'm like poised on the clicker, and I didn't, and I stayed watching this report, and I ended up pregnant, just tears and tears and tears, watching this woman on a fucking donkey in 2010 going to a birthing center. I mean, where are we in the world that this would happen? I probably shouldn't, I apologize for swearing. Anyway, so I felt very outraged, and yet do you ever have those feelings of, it's all very terrible, but who am I to think I can make a difference about this? This is a very far away place, and by the way, let me give you 10 excuses right now why I shouldn't do anything. Yeah? And this is where I was. And so I was in this sort of crisis moment, and I said, no, I have to do something. What could I possibly do? So I got onto trusty Google and Googled the report, found the charity that was the not-for-profit that was working with these women in Afghanistan, an amazing not-for-profit that you should know about called Women for Women International, who work with women survivors of war. And basically just went on their website and sent them an email to info@womenforwomen.org, thinking, well, maybe I could do something, maybe I could help. And they emailed me back the next day, and I had a great conversation. I remember being very nervous about having a conversation with the woman that runs it, or used to run it at the time, Andre Simon. And I said, how can I help? What can I do? And she said, you know what? One of the biggest issues that we've got right now is that our country directors are really struggling with their leadership, and they need mentors and coaches. And I'm like, hey, that's what we do. I was like, how many do you have? She was like, 300 or so. And I was like, oh, shit. That's a lot. And then but the sort of moral to this story that I wanted to share with you is the power of trying to do something and making a difference in the moment, in a crisis moment, rather than turning over to Orange County Housewives, which is what we often do. And then it's about engaging others, because what I did was I sent an email out to the women that are in the Aspire community, the women that we work with that are in large corporations around the world, and said, would you like to help too? And that was the beginnings of the Aspire Foundation and our mentoring program, which now we are impacting over 500,000 women around the world on. So, you know, a very small thought in a crisis moment can lead to wonderful, wonderful things. And it's just being conscious in that moment and not letting that moment go by. Because so easily it just goes by thinking it's too much, and who are we to think that we can make a difference? And as individuals, I strongly believe that we can all make a significant difference.